I flew to Afghanistan in 2024, which means it's been a year since I decided on a whim to visit this country.
Put it on YouTube.
It's not something a lot of people do, so I wanted to take a chance to talk about the whole thing. No turning back now. I'm going to talk about my experience visiting the country, some background, reasons for doing it, and some questions that I've gotten from people. But first, it was time to boomerang back to Dubai.
Have a good trip. See you next time. You're welcome. You're welcome.
It was like 40 United States dollars for what I got, which is basically a hotel room. Overall, a pretty good hostel. That ended up being pretty good. I'm trying to get a bus to Abu Dhabi today. Time to get to the bus. Oh wow, it's quite nice outside. This is a great change from Afghanistan.
First, let's be real for a sec. Afghanistan is not visited by a whole lot of people for obvious reasons. It's been a war-torn country over the course of 40 years, starting in 1979 with the Soviet invasion, then in 1989 with the civil wars, and most recently the control by the Taliban over the country. Then the US invasion followed in 2001, now add on a few years of buffer, and here we are today. With all of this that happened, why would I go to the country? Life is full of nuance. Nothing is exclusively one way or another. You can find kindness and cruelty in every corner of the world if you look hard enough. We all live on this funny wet rock with our own ways of life, and today I'll get to share one of the most interesting experiences I've had, visiting Afghanistan. Now again, why did I go? There were a lot of things that actually went right for this trip to happen.
The U.S. government has pulled out, the new government has taken over. For better or worse, the security has definitely improved.
Then there's also the fact that I didn't go with one or two people, I actually went with over 10 people. This was a non-profit charity trip, so we were donating food to communities in Afghanistan that really needed it. So that was the whole premise for the trip, and it was all set up by Mudita. We had people on the inside that would help us move around the country, so that was transportation. We'd have translators, tour guides, we'd have all the paperwork taken care of to get between the different provinces. I've also seen accounts of what it's like to visit as a tourist, and I'm sure the experience of living there is very different than the experience of visiting. There are a couple of embassies around the world that will get you an Afghani visa in 2024, 2025. The one that I went to was in Dubai. We actually got all of our passports back the same day. It was really, really fast. Mudita also handled the letter of invitation. We had already had our flights booked from Dubai to Kabul, and if we didn't have the visa, then this whole thing would have fallen apart. There was also some luck that happened. Since all of these things just so happened to line up properly, I thought, okay, let's go do it. Afghanistan felt a lot more traditional than other places in the Middle East, like the UAE, which is the only other place in the Middle East I've ever been.
I was sitting next to some guy for like 2 hours who was just snoring non-stop, elbowing my ribs and watching YouTube shorts extremely loud. That's all over. We're in Abu Dhabi. Time to catch a Kareem or something to this hostel. Finally found the place, and now we're good.
The reasons it felt more traditional is the way that people dressed. I'm wearing the traditional clothing here. Pretty much everyone in the country all dressed like this. It's very different from the way that people dressed in the UAE. A lot of people wear shorts and t-shirts and didn't dress what felt more traditional. Security in the hotel was quite intense. There were armed guards at the entrance of the hotel. There was a X-ray that we had to go through, and this was very different from the UAE.
So the hostels in the UAE tend to just be on like one of the floors in those buildings. Some are good, some are bad. This is the third hostel that I've been to. The door in this one is just wide open and anyone can come in at any time. Like there's no locks, no keys, nothing. That's kind of concerning.
Getting around is pretty much only done with cars or vans. That was the main way that we got around in the country. It's a lot different than in the UAE.
This Kareem is gonna take me to the Grand Mosque. This is something that I've wanted to see for a hot minute. and now I'm gonna get the chance. So I'm waiting for my driver. His name's Mohammed, and he should be here any minute, and then we'll zip on over to the mosque.
So as I got into the Kareem, I remembered what zipping around felt like a few days ago. In Afghanistan at the end of February, it's a completely different climate, which means there's so much snow everywhere, and it's not easy to get around in cars like it is in the UAE. So to deal with the snow, people use chains and plows and all that, but sometimes there's just too much snow, and it blocks traffic for a long time. But on the other hand, if you're a visitor, then this kind of gives you a chance to see roadside shops and pay attention to the details that you otherwise wouldn't have seen while you wait. In the UAE, you don't pay attention to those details, you just go. Or if you're in Dubai, you can take the metro, which I really liked. And if it's not crowded, then it's actually pretty comfortable. And of course you have the public buses, which I took from Dubai to Abu Dhabi. And also Kareem has bikes that you can rent. I only rode those bikes through Abu Dhabi because at this point I'd gotten sick of planes, trains, and buses and cars, but you get the idea. Another few things, a lot of people do still wear the traditional clothing there. So at this point, I started to think about the culture of this country. Besides all the choices you have to move around, what's it actually like here?
I will get lost, 100%.
Shopping is a cultural experience, and it felt pretty Western to me here. You aren't meant to stand and stare at one thing that captures your attention because there are just a million other things that you can see and do. Things are big, there's tons of people, and it kind of feels like you can get lost in the crowds. Afghanistan was different, but maybe that was just the result of where I was. Then again, I wasn't in the middle of nowhere the entire time. I met people from Bamyan and Kabul, and all these places in between. Everyone there was pretty friendly, and there could be many reasons for that, but I think life is slower there, and so that can be kind of nice. Communities are really tightly knit, and you get to notice all the small details. There's more of a focus on the people around you, rather than fading into the background, say, that you could do in the UAE. The way that people pay for things in the UAE is typically with a credit card or a debit card or something. In Afghanistan, that is not the case. People use cash for almost everything. This is what 20 Afghanis looks like. I don't know when I'm ever gonna spend it. Another question that I've gotten is what my friends and family thought. I think that ties into the whole aspect of taking risk when you travel. There's always going to be a non-zero amount of risk that you assume with anything that you do. You need to be okay with certain risk levels. It really starts to hit home with the choices that you've made the closer and closer it gets to, actually visiting the country.
If you're feeling like that, don't worry. It was the same also the first time I went to Iraq, first time I went to Yemen. It's completely normal.
I started to have second thoughts.
There was something about Afghanistan that people were actually scared.
Even when I felt a little bit nervous, I just remembered the facts. I'm going with a big group, for better or worse. This is the safest the country has ever been. In recent years, there's a certain risk level that I'm willing to tolerate.
We're going to Afghanistan. Oh my god.
Friends and family are not going to think the same, and that's okay. There's no easy way to deal with it. You just communicate the facts that make you feel comfortable in your decisions in the hopes it'll make other people feel the same. Another question I've gotten is how people treated me. For some background, I was in Kabul, the capital, and I was in Bamyan. Overall, people treated me quite nice. I was also in a large group, so I'm sure that had some bearing on it as well. But I also think that there aren't a lot of tourists that come to the country, so perhaps people were really interested to see tourists. We were also very interested to see them. It was just a very cool experience. At different checkpoints that we went to, sometimes the van doors would open.
I think we have the right paperwork.
There'd be some heads popping in. They'd ask if our guides were treating us nice, if we were here on our own accord, if everything was good, and we went, yep. And the last thing I want to highlight is the places of worship. I was in Abu Dhabi, the real capital of the UAE, not Dubai, to see a crazy cool mosque. It's called the Sheikh Zayed Grand Mosque Center, and it's enormous.
Here we are, folks. We're gonna register inside the big ball, and then we can go into that mosque. I am actually visually impressed with how huge this is. And what have I walked into? What is this place? Oh yeah, bud. I passed the dress code. I'm in. There's a bunch of people that all want to take photos at the same time. I just can't handle it. Honestly, at this rate, I don't even know if I'm going to the right place. I feel like I've been walking for 10 minutes, but I think we're coming up now. Maybe we're actually at the mosque now. Wow.
Yes, here we are. This mosque is absolutely insane. This is a very large structure. It's really different seeing a place in person. The inside is even more beautiful. That is one huge building. Cool. I'm on the other side of the bridge, and I think I just found the beach. Totally devoid of people. So now that I'm back from Afghanistan, one key difference that I want to note is the people.
And the people, you're just going to wait and see.
The people that I've talked to in Afghanistan have been extremely nice, and they're proud of that. The term Afghan hospitality is a thing. I remember being on the plane, and these two guys just looked at me, and I was one of the only foreigners on the plane, and he's like, complete stranger, he's like, yeah, you should come over to my house. I'll cook food for you. And then I go, oh no, it's okay, I'm traveling with maybe like 10 other people to this thing. And he goes, oh, 10, 20, 50, 100, oh, it doesn't matter, I'll cook food for everyone. Now when you go to Abu Dhabi and Dubai and the UAE, there's more money, there's more prosperity, there's more stability, and I think once a country gets to a certain point, it's a big city vibe versus a small town vibe. That's kind of UAE versus Afghanistan. I feel like that's kind of the major difference, you know? Now, that's not to say I like one or the other. I've enjoyed my time in both countries. On one hand, you have amazing scenery, very rich history as a key stop through the hippie trail, some of the best skiing that you can do in the world in the Hindu Kush, some of the friendliest and most hospitable people that I've ever met. On the other hand, you have a country that's been through over 40 years of constant war, death, bombings, tragedies, and so many other things that the people have dealt with. This is a topic that's really sensitive to talk about, and there's so many questions that people have, and there's almost no concrete answers that I can give. I'm not here to start giving these answers, I'm just here to show you what it's like to visit the country, and to make you think about this from different perspectives. You make up your own mind.
We have car also.
Yeah.